Alright, real quick before we get into this video, I just want to make a little disclaimer so you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. This video is not going to be filled with crazy edits, flashy effects, or clips popping up every 3 seconds just to keep your goldfish attention spans entertained. This is a raw, unfiltered, fully informative video that's designed to help you actually improve. If you came here for flashy montages or edits, or hype gameplay with zero substance, this ain't that. But if you seriously want to get better at Fortnite, if you want to know how to fight properly, how to peek without getting instantly fried, and how to control fights, how to win more of your 50-50s, and just understand everything at a deeper level, then stick around. This video is insanely important. Probably one of the most important videos I've ever made or has ever been posted on YouTube for Fortnite. Because if you watch this all the way through, all my other videos will finally start to click for you. You'll understand how to actually apply things that I've taught you in the past instead of just watching random clips with no real takeaway. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This video is long, but that's because real improvement takes time, effort, and proper understanding. If you actually sit through this whole thing, you're already doing more than 99% of the players out there, and I promise it will be worth your time. And of course, if you enjoy the video or if you learned something new, please drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn on those notifications so you never miss another upload. Alright, enough of me talking, let's just jump straight into everything you need to know how to fight better, peek smarter, and win more fights in Fortnite. Alright, so the first little part of this is I wanted to start by going over like some basic stuff that you need to know in order to do the rest of the stuff in this video, or just to help you overall with fighting. Now, the first thing you all should know how to do is just regular 90s. If you can't do regular 90s, the rest of the video is going to be pretty hard to learn, but you can just take it step by step. All you do for 90s is you just place a floor, stair, and a wall, and you just turn to the side. When you're first starting out, you can even add jumps if you want to. Another way to do this is quick 90s, which are just sprint 90s. So all you have to do is you place a floor and a stair, you sprint into the corner, place another floor, stair, sprint, floor, and you just repeat that. That's for really fast height. You can use that off starts of 1v1s and everything like that. You can even use it in game, but it's not as protective and it just isn't as good overall. The next thing we're going to learn is edits. What edits you should be utilizing and what things you should not be utilizing. So a lot of people know to do peanut butter edits like that, over the top edits like that. You can even do this edit where it's that, this edit, and this edit. So, and then obviously windows. So those are basically all the edits you will be utilizing in your wall. Once again, every edit needs to be unpredictable, because if every edit is predictable, they'll just know when to shoot you and how to shoot you every single time someone plays against you. So what I recommend is, I see a lot of people do this. They just do the same right hand peek peanut butter over and over again without changing it up in a fight. So when you're in a fight, you'll want to edit that, and then the next one maybe you'll want to edit a window, add another window, or even doing a left hand like this, or even editing up like this and shooting and re-editing. You want to be unpredictable with your edits, because edits are very important with how your games will play out. If you're using predictable edits, once again, you'll just be predictable. Everyone can kill a predictable player. That's the easiest thing to fight in a fight. All right, the next thing is like peeks. So with the edits we just did, there's multiple peeks you can do to gain advantage. I personally use this one. It's really good. You can use it, shoot real quick, and edit it back. Yes, you're open, you can take damage, but not a lot of players use it, and it can be really good, especially if you like a cone in their box or stuff like this, because you can just do like that. Another one is a right hand peek peanut butter, so something like this. For example, if an opponent is in this box right here and you have them boxed, right hand peek, they can barely see you while you can see almost the whole thing and all of their body. You can use left hands too. The only reason I don't recommend left hands is if, for example, if the person is in that corner right there. If they're in that corner, they can see you, but you can't see them. So they have the right hand peek advantage there. But you can use this peek for like basically anything else. It does leave you pretty wide open, and I would recommend not doing it. You can also do this peek, but once again, they can hide behind the cone and it leaves you kind of out in the open. Not the best peek to use. If you just need that final little damage and you're willing to risk taking some damage, then once again, you can use it. There are other like special ways you can do peeks. So for example, you can do like this peek. There's like a bunch of others. You can edit this full sidewall right here like that. There's just a bunch of other things you can do that are really complicated, but they can give you crazy advantages on people. Another thing I've seen a lot of people commenting on my video is retakes. So I just do simple retakes. I don't do anything crazy. I've just been using the same retakes for the past couple years. The nice thing about retakes is when you know 3 of them, you basically have 9 different combinations of stuff you can do. But once again, you can do them at any time, anywhere. So there's a bunch of different combinations you can do. My personal favorite retakes are just a simple double edit with cone to the top. Then you can put your stuff like this, edit this up, and go like that. It's just a simple double edit. You get height pretty quick. You can change layers pretty quick. It's pretty good. The next one I like to do is just a simple wall ramp edit. This one's protective because it'll protect you from everything basically except for this side. And you can just do it over and over again without any problems. You can also do it like I was just doing there, where you have it just go over the top like this, and you can do this. But we'll get more into that later. That's another peak you can use. So like for example, I'm gonna just do it slow so you guys can keep up, is if you wanted to do this, edit this, like there's multiple different types of retakes you can do. I just added 2 retakes together into one and it made it way hard to predict. And then the third retake I like to do is just a simple side jump. So you fake the double edit, you jump to the side, you place 2 high walls, and then if the person's 2 layers above you, you just full box them. But let's say you're just doing it as a retake, you just do it, you just go like this, edit, 2 high walls, jump, and there you go. You can just edit off of that and do that. Once again, you can combine all 3 of these retakes together. They're pretty easy to do, and combining them is not hard whatsoever. You have multiple different combinations with this and stuff like that. Now, the next thing I'm going to go over is crosshair placement, because you won't be able to do basically any of this stuff that I just showed you without good crosshair placement. That is the #1 thing I see people do wrong in this game. Crosshair placement is doing the most minimal amount of movement to get the most out of an edit. So as you guys can see, there's these like the little gray in the corners of each of these squares. Basically, you want to stay on all those little corners and do this little bit of movement for the entire edit. For example, for up here, you'll just need to grab the far right side of this corner, drag it into the far left of this corner, and you get the full edit for barely any movement. Most players will go fully across like that, and then they have to reline up their crosshair in the middle, which makes way harder to actually shoot players if they're right here. If you are on edit on release, once again, you have to release the edit before you can put your crosshair back here, or you'll mess up your edit. But if you have edit on release off, you can actually hold the angle, like say I can hold it and it'll go like this as I have my crosshair on the opponent. So edit on release off is better for peaks in my opinion. Edit on release on is better for editing and speed, and just, yeah, that's the difference between the two basically. It does actually add an extra key movement, so you have to press a key twice instead of once to edit. It can cause a lot more delay, so if you guys have problems with delay, just have edit on release on. So now that we got crosshair placement out the way, there's another thing most of you guys do not utilize when you're in fights or tournaments or end games or anything. And this one works really well when you have teammates. It's pre-edits. Most of you guys have pre-edits off. If you have it off, it actually makes more delay go on your like either console, PC, whatever, and it will make you mess up your edits a lot more. So most of the time people can't do a full triple edit because they have it on to where you can't have pre-edits. So if you turn pre-edits off, you'll actually have less delay. And the nice thing about pre-edits is, for example, if we're trying to key a team because we need surge in the end game, this is just a hypothetical thing, and we need damage. If you pre-edit a wall like this and your teammates spray and you place the wall, the other team is going to expect a fully built wall. But since you don't have a fully built wall, they won't be prepared for that, and you guys can get as much damage as possible and then just re-edit it. It's really good for doing unpredictable things. It can work, or pre-edit windows. Most players won't expect that. So you can be doing something like a double edit up, and then you do this, and it's a free shot. There's a lot of different things you can utilize with pre-edits. Yes, it gets confusing at first, and yes, you will mess up your edits at first when you have pre-edits on, but after you get used to it for a bit, it's a lot better. All right, the next thing we're gonna go over are some phases. And now I know a lot of you guys know just the common stair phase, where you get the wall 1 HP, you jump, and you momentum phase through the wall because the stair boosts you into the box, and you can get through almost every single time if you time it correctly, which another big thing about most of these things is timing correctly. So yeah, there's that phase. Another phase a lot of people don't know about is a kind of a door phase. So you edit a door like this, and it'll boost you through. This one's actually better in my opinion, because if you don't have the best timing and you walk into the wall and you break it, it'll push you through no matter what. They might be able to predict it a little bit better, but I don't see this phase used a lot, and I personally used it and it's really good. And you can get in, once again, you can jump with it and they'll boost you far back into their face. So that's another phase you can use. Another phase you can use from like the top of someone's box is, for example, if they have a cone right here, you break it and you have your stair like this, the floor and stair meet, and you can just break down and it'll automatically push you in. You can place a cone, get damage, and get out. Another one you can do, which is a lot more risky, but if you just need that final damage, is actually just getting inside of a cone, pushing into the top, like pushing into the top corner, any one of the corners, and just break down, and you'll automatically get phased in. There are some other phases, but those are the main phases you should be utilizing when you're in fights and stuff like that. And I wouldn't recommend using any other phases for this type of stuff. All right, so now we're gonna go more into fighting stuff, like box fights and how you should be setting up box fights and how you should actually be taking them. So for box fights, most of the time, people key a box straight up, like this. You don't want to be keying a box straight up unless the player's low or you actually know what you're doing and can actually escape. Another thing with keying on box fights, as you can see, this whole area behind me, I am visible to anyone in this area. So you're not actually taking protective box fights. You're taking box fights very riskily because, I don't even know if that's a word, but you're taking box fights really risky because they can just shoot you from anywhere. And so what I recommend is doing diagonal box fighting. Diagonal box fighting, you box up, you have a diagonal box like this, can create space like this, take the wall, right hand peek, obviously, pump them, and whatnot. Now, diagonal box fighting is a lot better. You're not fighting directly on someone, which makes it harder for, if like the player's trying to heal, it makes it harder for them. You also have two sides you can go to and attack from, because a lot of you guys will just attack from one side at the whole time, and it'll be unprotected box fights. So you'll either get damaged, or when you do try and get in their box, they just can hold the angles. But if you attack from two sides and you fake and then you get it right here and you just edit and shoot them, they're not going to be expecting you to take from two sides. You can even go from, like, let's say you go from one side, two sides, jump up, take this. They think you're going to edit this and go down, but then you drop down to the side and you do stuff like that. It's just making yourself unpredictable in the box fights when most people are very predictable when you take box fights. So I recommend doing diagonal peeking. Also, when you're in diagonal peeking or diagonal box fighting, there's a lot of ways to actually take a player's wall without them dealing damage to you. For example, if you have a box like this right next to them, you can shoot the bottom right corner of their wall without them seeing you with the stair right here, and you can actually just take their wall and shoot them. There's some other ones too, like for example, you can do it like this. Once again, don't do this peek if they're in this back corner, because if you do break the wall, they can just shoot you from that back corner. But yeah, you can do that. You can do this. There's multiple different peeks you can do. There's even this one right here. Makes them harder to shoot from you if they're on this side of the cone. And edit and fire. So those are some things you can do to increase your box fighting skills and stuff like that. Once again, in box fights or any fights whatsoever, you guys are always going to want to be utilizing right-hand peeks. They're the most important peek in the game because your camera is to the right of your character, which means you have more view of the opponent in your right side of your screen. So always utilize right-hand peeks, peanut butter edits, top edits, anything. Just try and utilize right-hand peeks without showing your character as much as possible. Also, a lot of things players do wrong in box fighting is only having one box. For example, if you're healing up, you need to have at least two boxes. If you don't have two boxes while you're healing up, you're just giving the opponent an opportunity to take you out. You need two boxes because if they attack from this side, you can just come to this side and you can create more spaces and more boxes. The main problem I see with most players is they do not create enough space in the game while they're playing, either when they're fighting or taking damage or anything when they need to heal up. They don't have enough space, then they just get locked down instantly. Because if I only have one box, I can get predicted pretty easily. For example, if I don't have a stair or a cone in my box, which I know a lot of players don't when they're fighting or trying to heal up, which you guys need to always have something in your box. Like for example, let's say an opponent's on my wall and they place a stair like this. My only option really is to go out backwards. And that's because I don't have a second box. Now, if I had a second box, I could come out and be safe in the second box. But since I don't have a second box, he can come down from the top. If I edit out from the side, he can full box me like this. It gives them a lot more options if you don't have two boxes built. Another thing is to help you guys predict people make their moves and stuff like that. For example, if someone's in a box like this and you're keying them, and let's just say you're keying them directly on, if you see they have nothing in their box, you can break their wall and actually place a stair and a wall at the exact same time in their face. And when you do that, then they're probably going to go out to the back because the stair is facing backwards. And they know if they go to either side, you can literally just full piece them, no matter what. So the best option for them, which is what they think, is to go out the back. But in all honesty, all you have to do is jump up, place a floor and a cone, and full box them. Once again, you can do this with anything. It's really easy to predict players. So for example, if someone's like, you're fighting someone up here, let's say they're doing this, and you break it, and you put a stair and a wall in their box, they could either go out the sides, out the back, or, which a lot of players do when they're above ground, is they drop down. And when they drop down, you have full piece, and they can't do anything. So no matter what they do, they're cooked either way if they don't have more than one box. If they have more than one box, it's a lot harder to key someone because they have a lot more angles and space to play off of, which makes it harder to fight. You'll never see a pro only play one box unless they are very confident in what they're doing. Most pros always play two boxes, which you guys need to do as well. All right, another thing that I've been showing recently in my shorts is the Mongrel Classic. Now, I've been getting a lot of comments about people saying, oh, that peak is worse or stuff like that. But realistically, in a regular Mongrel Classic, all you do is break the wall, edit the stair, and shoot. But if the opponent's not in that corner, or if you edit this way, and they're not in this corner, and they're in that corner, they have the peek on you. Once again, right-hand peeks are so valuable, so they can just shoot you. What I started doing instead of a regular Mongrel Classic, which I don't do every time, because sometimes Mongrel Classics are actually really good if you just need that finishing damage, but if you want to make sure you see the opponent 100% of the time, is you edit the stair sideways. Either way, they're either going to be right here and you can see them, or they're going to be up here, which you can still see them even if they're crouched. So you will want to do that instead. And once again, I did it with the window edit. Yes, this will leave you vulnerable. So there is a bunch of other ways you can do it. You can do it like this, behind a right-hand peak, and other stuff. Just make sure you guys are doing the stair to the side, because that will give you full coverage of the entire box instead of the regular Mongrel Classic where he can just hide in there, or other stuff like that. All right, so the next thing we're going to actually go into is more of like free building, weaknesses, and stuff like that. So I know a lot of you guys are stuck at like a certain level or a certain mechanic that you can't get past. So I remember when I first started, and I'm not saying this is for only starters, I could barely do a double edit, but I wanted to learn a triple edit. The problem is I can't even do a double edit yet, so I was trying to do a triple edit without even learning how to do a double edit. So what I recommend you guys do is you actually learn the double edit before you learn the triple edit, because if you learn the double edit, then learning the triple edit will be a lot easier. Once again, you guys need to stop trying to go for the insane mechanics right away. If you just barely started the game and you're trying to go for a quad edit already, just stop. Focus on the fundamentals and regular stuff first before moving on to the crazy stuff. So if you're stuck on double edits, learn the double edits. Get repetition down and everything. Once you can do 10 double edits in a row, you can start adding in the triple edits. And once you start doing the triple edits, you can start doing the quad edits. I'm still not the best at quad edits, but I am working on them right now. So make sure you guys focus on one thing at a time. Utilize that repetition. Once you get repetition down, the more consistent you are with one mechanic, the better you'll be overall, and it'll become second nature. In the middle of games, I'll do triple edit, quad edits, anything, and just because it's in my toolbox. Another thing you guys need to be doing is learning how to tarp. So there are 3 different tarps that I use when I'm in end games. The regular tarp, where you just place in front of you and to the side of you, the walls. There's stuff like that, right? Another one is for like changing layers. It's where you put the stair walls around you, stuff like that. And then you can do that downwards as well. In chapter 2, I used to utilize this one a lot. Now this one you'll want to use when you're on like low materials, or it's just like a quick moving zone and you just need to get somewhere super close fast. It technically protects you from everything. The only disadvantage of it is it only has 1 layer to protect you from. So if they spray from this side, it only takes 1 layer to shoot you from. But once again, if you're low on materials and you need something to tarp easy, just do this. Also, when tarping, make sure you always place a wall behind you. If you don't place a wall behind you, someone could easily sneak up behind you and just one pump you. So make sure you always place a wall behind you at some point in your tarp. Yeah. So those are mostly the tarps that you need to learn. They're pretty easy to do. You just need to, once again, do them repetition over time, and you can utilize those tarps. All right, so another thing I get asked a lot, which kind of goes with what I just did, the tarping, is like when to use certain materials. I had someone ask a very good question the other day, is what zones do I use what materials? And now I'm going to be honest, it doesn't matter what type of zone you're in, you'll always want to use materials for different things. When you're doing quick rotates, you'll want to use wood. When you're boxing up, you'll want to use brick or metal. Once again, when you're boxing up, do 2 boxes. If you're in trios, do 2 to 3 boxes. And when you're in the final moving zones, you'll want to only use brick and metal as much as possible. Wood is just for build fighting, and basically use wood as much as possible because there's a lot of wood on the map. And yeah, you don't really need to use certain materials for certain things, except for when boxing up, brick and metal. When rotating fast, use wood. If you need like temporary boxes, once again, you can use wood. It's a lot more risky, so I still recommend using brick for temporary boxes. But yeah, that's what I recommend. Also, another thing we're going to go over is how to apply correct pressure. A lot of you guys are in the middle of fights, and I've seen this all over. Like, I've seen this on YouTube, TikTok, everything. People do not know how to pressure correctly. A lot of people, when they get someone really low, they just keep pressuring from the same angle once again, and they just keep spraying and just hope that they'll get into the person's box and kill them. That's very risky, first of all, because if you get in a box with them, it's a 50-50, even if you have health advantage, because you never know, they could one pump you or do a lot of damage to you and then kill you with an SMG or something like that. So, but you also don't want them to heal. So what I recommend is just, honestly, you want to take distance, because distance fighting will make it so they can't do as much damage to you. And they still have to heal and run away. So if you just do distance fighting like this and try and take walls or like just spray them to the point where you can just take a wall and then take a close fight, that's what you want to do. Because a lot of you guys just full on pressure them, just spray, try and get their box. And a lot of you guys take a lot of damage. I tell everyone that I've ever coached or played with, the goal of a fight is to win without taking any damage. Because if you win a fight and you take no damage, you can go right into another fight. And if you take no damage, third parties aren't as like annoying to deal with if you have your max health. That's why when you see pros fight super quick, they'll only fight for about a good 30-40 seconds and they'll kill the team. You'll see most pros come out on top with most health. They get a lot of fights done really quick. That's their main thing. Then they come out of the fights with a lot of health, which means the third parties that do third party do not have a big advantage. It's more of a fair fight. So remember, take fights, but if you do not win the fight quick, or if you're taking a lot of damage from the fight, you can disengage and re-engage. All right, now one of the things we're gonna actually talk about is movement, because I talk a lot and very heavily on movement. Movement is the best thing to basically make yourself unpredictable besides edits. Now for movement, there's a lot of different things like the side jumps. There's like the one where you do super boost and then there's just a regular side jump. So make sure you guys can do both. The way to do a super side jump is you just look at the thing when you're jumping and just jump. How to do a regular, you just look and jump. It's not that hard. There is certain things you can do for movement. For example, I call this controller movement because all my controller friends do it. For example, if I full box someone, they can just like start spamming like crouching and like sprinting and other stuff like that, and it makes it a lot harder to hit them because they're constantly moving, and it messes up with my regular crosshair placement. Because if I'm usually aiming right here, but they're moving around down here, then I have to follow them like this, and it makes it really hard. It's really broken. You can use that controller movement to like get out a lot of bad things. Like for example, if I get full box, I can just like start spamming stuff, jump through here, try and take fights, and hopefully get out and fight differently. There are some other things, like I did see a bunch of people use movement like that, or like jump off the side like that to get crazy peaks. All you do for that is press the second jump, you look this way, and that's all you have to do. Another thing a lot of people don't utilize, which controller players oddly enough utilize way too much, is mantling. There's regular mantling, where you just do that. And I'm pretty sure like you can do that. You just need to be utilizing movement, because this can get you hyped pretty easily. And a lot of players don't expect you to just double jump up their wall and get up. There's also other like editing things you can do, like to run up and stuff like that. So just try and like mess around with your movement and see what feels good, but like feels unpredictable for other opponents. Think about it like this. If you're confusing yourself with what you're doing, you're probably going to confuse the opponent. Unless they're very bad, because bad players usually are the most unpredictable because they don't know what they're doing. So yeah, remember to utilize movement. The next thing we're going to get into is gun mechanics. There's nothing really I can show you with gun mechanics because they're gun mechanics. But what I recommend doing is making sure you know how to use every single gun in the game. A lot of players find one loadout they really like, and that's really good because they're utilizing the guns in the game, but you need to know every single gun and its ability. For example, the Spire rifle in the game is the best gun in the game in my opinion. It does a lot of damage, it has a very good magazine, and the spray rate is pretty good. It does a lot of structure damage, everything. The nice thing about the Centennial Pump Shotgun or the Sentinel Pump Shotgun is it does a lot of structure damage and it still does good damage. It has a pretty good fire rate. The pump does not have a good like structure damage, but it still does good damage. You just need to know those mechanics of the guns. Like the Furry Assault Rifle, it shoots really fast. It does better damage close range, has a faster fire rate. Just know the gun mechanics of every gun in the game. By knowing that, you know how to use the gun if you can't find the guns you prioritize. And knowing how to play with every single gun in the game is very important when it comes to, once again, not finding your weapon. Alright, I know I'm kind of all over the place with this video, but I'm trying to get everything that you guys should know about Fortnite and its mechanics and stuff like that. So once again, a little bit with more movement, crouch spamming when fighting or taking builds or anything. Just, you don't want to stay in the same place when you're attacking a wall once again, so just like be unpredictable with your movement and stuff like that. Crouching, sliding, even take builds when you're sliding in, like you take a build right here and you just slide in while breaking the wall. Another thing you guys need to learn is sound cues and stuff like that. You guys should be studying sound cues. Every game has sound cues. Like Rainbow Six Siege has sound cues, Valorant, all these games have sound cues. Mastering sound cues is one of the most important things because you know when a player is reloading, you know when a player is using movement, you know when a player is running around you, where they're running around you from, if they're above you, below you. You can also like mimic sound cues without actually doing anything. So you can like, for example, right there, you can fake a break sound by pulling out your like shotgun or something really quick, and you can fake this like pickaxe swing sound. There's a lot of different things you can do to like mimic sound cues and make it a lot harder for players to like predict you or anything through those sound cues. You can also use it as an advantage. Like for example, if you need to heal up, you can use minis as an advantage because you can press the mini to act like you're healing up. For example, if I'm acting like I'm healing up in here, I do this to a lot of people. You fake like you're healing, and as soon as they push you, you get damage on them, then they need to go heal. So you both have time to heal now because they have to reset and reevaluate the fight. That's another good thing. Another thing we need to talk about is pre-piece. We did talk about pre-piece a little bit when we were showing you about box fighting, but pre-piecing basically, it can mean like doing this and having the opponent walk into your box or like full boxing them like that. That can deal with pre-piece. Pre-piece can even be like this. If you're in a box and let's say you edit out to go fight, and then you notice that the opponent goes back down and they're either in your box or near your box, you can drop down, edit down, and open it up. And sometimes they won't realize that this isn't their wall, and so you'll get a free tag or a free kill even with that. So make sure you guys know how to do that. Another thing that kind of goes with the peeking off of the mini is applying pressure when you're either low or when someone is pressuring you. A lot of players, when they're getting pressured, they just try and box up, hold walls, heal, anything like that. They don't create space, nothing like that. Once again, you'll want to create space always, but they'll just hold. Another way to combat that is by editing and getting damage back, because when you're low and they're spraying you, they're not going to expect you to peek and get some extra tags. Even if it's just 60 damage, then you can come back down and heal up. It'll give you more time. If you have a trio, have your teammates shoot at them while you heal. It's just applying pressure back. It makes it a lot harder to fight instead of just getting absolutely destroyed by someone just spraying the living crap out of you. Another thing I recommend doing is for scrims or like end games or anything like that. If you're boxed up and you're getting sprayed or lobbied, remember to create space in the direction that the players are spraying you from. So like that, and then you can even go backwards too. When you're getting sprayed, the main goal is to stay alive and take the least amount of damage as possible. So you need to create as much space as possible out of your hard materials. For example, if you're boxed up out of wood and you're getting sprayed, they're going to bleed through. Their bolts are going to bleed through really quick. So you can come back, edit out, change your materials, and create space. If you need to, you can create space towards them to give you a little extra time to create the space backwards. And then once again, you can utilize this space. Another thing you guys need to learn is opponents' play styles. I've always talked about this, is learning your opponent in the first 1 to 2 seconds of the fight is very important because it tells you a lot about them. So if a player is pushing you really fast, editing a lot, spamming edits, trying to apply as much pressure as possible, something like this, they look like that when they're trying to push you, they're most likely a super aggressive player. The best way to counter a super aggressive player is by playing extremely passive or also playing overly aggressive. So you need to identify their play style based off that. If you start shooting at someone and you don't even hit them, but they full box and they take 2 boxes, they most likely want to take close fights, or they are more of a passive player. They can be a passive aggressive player, which means as soon as you key up, they're going to kill you or like shoot at you and then be super aggressive. So yeah, you just need to know what their playstyle looks like based off of the first 10 seconds of your interaction with them. Now, if you know the players a lot better than you, the best way to get out of that situation is to get a good amount of opening damage, which is what most pros do. Opening damage is the most important thing because it puts you at the advantage at the very start of the game. If you can't get opening damage and they're really aggressive and you're really scared of them, which I recommend don't being scared of anyone, just be confident in yourself, then you'll want to try and utilize movement to run away, or you can try and take fights in your strong suit. So if you're really good at box fighting but you're really bad at build fighting, only take fights on your terms in the box fights. This puts them at a disadvantage because you never know if they're really good at build fighting or box fighting. And if you take them from your best skill, you're going to have the advantage against them. All right, now that I showed you a bunch about like how to play and what special stuff you need to be utilizing and stuff like that, I'm going to actually show you the best things to get better at every single one of those. I'm in the Mechanics of E5 training map by Raider 464. You've probably been in this map, or you've probably seen people playing this map. So we talked about crosshair placement at the very beginning of the video. This is perfect for crosshair placement because you edit, it moves, and you follow the arrow or the red marks in order to get the perfect crosshair placement. As you can see, if you follow the exact red line, perfect crosshair placement, no mistakes. This is what I would recommend doing if you have problems with your crosshair placement, because it helps with that. Now, there are other things, like, for example, there's fast edit timing drills. Edit timing is another very important thing, because the better you get with edit timing, the better you get with almost everything. Anyways, you can do those. That's what I do for edit timing. If you need to work on specific things, walls, quad edits, just insanely different mechanics, there's all these things here to help you out. I recommend going through them a lot. The main thing I use in here, though, is, once again, that crosshair placement drill, because it's the best thing, in my opinion, in this map. Now, the next thing that you guys are going to want to do is do piece. Piece control, this is just to help you with piece control, pre-piece, your mechanics, learning how to take different fights, different angles, and it's pretty realistic, so I recommend going through most of these drills. Figure out the drills that you need help with the most. So if you're really bad at, for example, this drill, because you have to go over a wall and stuff like that, practice this drill. But if you're really good with this drill, find something that you're not really good with. The main priority in getting better is focusing on your weaknesses to get them better. The things that you suck at the most are the things you're going to want to do the most with the most repetition and most consistency. But remember, do not only focus on your weaknesses. You also need to put a little bit more time into your strengths. So what I recommend is spending majority of your time on your weaknesses and then spending like 30% on your strengths, just so your strengths stay as good as they are and your weaknesses get better slowly. So I recommend trying all these out and figuring out which ones you suck at the most, doing them so that you can get your pre-piece and piece better. Now, the thing that I suck the most with is aim. Now, the thing that I suck the most with is actually aim. Aim is very important because if you have the best aim in the game, you can basically kill anyone before they even can build with reaction times if you get a good spray. So all of these are good. Once again, find your weakness through here. Do every single drill. You don't have to do it every day. You don't have to do them. You can spread them out throughout days. You can build your own routines based on your weaknesses. That's what I recommend doing. and figure out which ones you're the worst at. Do them over and over and over again, and over time you'll see improvement. Now here, there's a bunch of great stuff. There is phasing practice, peak training, clutch practice, piece free build, pre-fire practice, piece control tunnels, headshot box fights, and edit training. Basically, everything I went over at the beginning of the video is already in this map for you to help you prioritize the best things. These are basically everything you need to know on how to improve the game, basically instantly. So utilizing the tactics that I showed you earlier in the video by practicing them through this will help you get better at the game. Now, once again, all of this is basically useless if you do not actually play the actual game and get game awareness and stuff like that. I would show you a lot more on game awareness, but game awareness is mostly built on how much you play the game, how competitive you play the game, and how much you challenge your brain through the game. It's like through moving zones, all of that stuff. You basically train it by working hard and challenging yourself in the game. So that's basically all you got to do. Now, there are a lot of other things that you can do in the game and a lot of other mechanics and stuff that I haven't gone over, but that is because these are the necessary type of things you need for fighting, editing, just improving overall in the game. If you can't use all of these things in the game, you're not going to improve fast and you're going to just be stuck at the same skill level. And by utilizing most of these things, I guarantee you most of you guys will absolutely get insane, because I know for a fact most of you don't know how to do half of the stuff I showed at the beginning of the video. Alright, that's pretty much everything you need to know how to actually start winning more fights, peak properly, and stop getting sent back to the lobby for no reason. I know this video was long, but if you made it this far, you're already ahead of most players because you actually care about improving. If you learned something new or this helped you at all, I'd seriously appreciate it if you drop a like and hit that subscribe button. I'm grinding hard to hit 50,000 subs, and every single one of you helps make that happen. So if you've been watching my videos but you're not subbed yet, now's your chance to help out. Also, if you want to improve even faster and actually have resources to work with, come join my Discord. It's completely free. We've got drop maps, loot routes, free coaching, teammates to grind with, and a whole community of people trying to get better together. The link's in the description, or check it out if you're serious about improving, or just type in your search bar discord.gg/Flowen. And of course, if you want to support me even more, use code Flowen in the Fortnite item shop. It helps me a ton and keeps these videos coming out. I appreciate every single one of you for taking time out of your day or evening to watch this video, and I love you all. Peace, guys.